Let's bring in Kayleigh McEnany, the host of Outnumbered, former White House press secretary. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Steve.
Let's start in Pennsylvania. We've got an image. You know, we've been talking about he had the captioning, and there was a 70-inch, two 70-inch television screens above both the moderators. And if we could look at that image, you can see what Mr. Fetterman was reading. His campaign is now complaining about the fact that there were errors in it. But as Griff just said, they offered two rehearsals. He did not go to both of them. He went to one. There it is right there. That's what he was actually looking at. And apparently he had problems because the debate was a disaster.
He had big problems. I mean, as you pointed out, he started by saying good night. He ended by shouting in the middle of Dr. Oz's closing statement. The last time I've seen blunders like that are from the sitting president, who has his own set of issues. But look, I don't know why the campaign put him in this position. A Democrat operative went out to Josh Kraushaar over at Axios and asked, why was he even allowed to debate? He said in a little more colorful terms, this will obviously raise more questions than answers. I mean, Politico Playbook, this Washington Insider publication, the opening line, let's state the obvious. John Fetterman struggled to communicate effectively. He was not capable of debating Oz. That was very clear. Voters say the issues matter most to them. Crime, the polling suggested that they weren't as interested in the mental acuity of John Fetterman, but you can't walk away thinking he's going to be a capable senator.
Yeah, he was stumbling and missing words. And our heart does go out to him. We want him
Absolutely.
to get better, but we're wondering maybe is this the right time for him to run for office? Here are some of his issues, though, because he's the lieutenant governor. He wants taxpayers to pay for injection sites for drug users, no restrictions on abortion, supports sanctuary cities, against voter ID, advocates for reducing the prison population by a third as lieutenant governor. And here's the big one that was an issue last night in the debate because he flip-flopped. In the past, in 2016 and 2018, he was calling for a moratorium on fracking. That is Pennsylvania's economy. Last night, he said, I have always supported fracking, which is not true. Watch this.
I've always supported fracking. And I always believe that independence with our energy is critical, and we can't be held, ransom to somebody like Russia.
I must correct the record.
You're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, I don't support fracking at all. So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand and I do support fracking.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fetterman.
I'm sorry, Lisa, but there's not just a statement you read. There are multiple pictures of him signing a moratorium.
We have to move on.
But we have to get the fundamentals of the truth out here. John Fetterman over and over again took positions against energy.
Dr. Oz is right. We do need to know where he stands on this because a lot of people are in that industry.
You see a lot of flip-flops in politics, but you don't often see a flip and a flop and a flip within 5 seconds, which is what we watch from him. I mean, his statements are clear. I don't support fracking at all. I never have. I called for a moratorium on fracking. There's no such thing as a green fracker. I'm not pro-fracking. The RNC ran almost a minute of him saying just that. But Ainsley, you summed up all of his positions so nicely. And in aggregate, he is probably one of the most progressive candidates out there in any of these races. And evidence of that is of the 600 political races going on, more than that. Joe Biden's been invited to 16, this being one of them. This happens to be one where Joe Biden is more moderate than the actual nominee of the Democrat Party.
Kayleigh, how do you feel? Your former boss has questioned his health multiple times. And now we have the president of the United States that is showing some behavior that is questionable. But you also have a serious health condition in John Fetterman that was hid from the American voters in Pennsylvania, where they could have selected another formidable candidate to run in the Democratic primary process. How do you feel about the media being utterly silent on this issue?
It's an important point. Look, when I stood at the podium, the press would go haywire about any time President Trump visited Walter Reed. They injected sinister suspicion into what were routine visits, demanding doctor's notes when he had COVID, and we provided as much information as we could, but that was just simply never good enough. But to your point earlier, they hid John Fetterman's condition. He was allowed to be a basement candidate. President Biden, frankly, was allowed to be a basement candidate, but he had COVID and an excuse to do so. And now what we're seeing is voters saying, no more basement candidates. We did that. We tried it in 2020. We're seeing the results. We're not going to allow that in the Senate race.
Sure. Of course, the Democrats have focused ever since the Dobbs decision came out on pushing abortion. Vote for us. We'll make sure that all women have abortion rights coast to coast. We're going to work to codify that. Of course, it was in May that we learned that in February of this year at the U.S. Supreme Court, they had taken essentially the opinion of the sitting justices, and they wrote a draft decision. And that was leaked. And as soon as it was leaked, there was an uproar. And suddenly we saw protesters in front of all of the conservative justices' homes trying to force them into, hey, don't vote against it, don't undo it, keep it in place. They were trying to intimidate them. Samuel Alito was at the Heritage Foundation last night and said this about the leaker. Listen.
It was a grave betrayal of trust by somebody, and it was a shock because nothing like that had happened in the past. So it certainly changed the atmosphere at the court for the remainder of last term. The leak also made those of us who were thought to be in the majority in support of overruling Roe and Casey targets for assassination, because it gave people a rational reason to think they could prevent that from happening by killing one of us. And we know that a man has been charged with attempting to kill Justice Kavanaugh.
As you know, White Houses leak, Congress leaks. The Supreme Court never leaks, except this one time.
Yeah, I have friends who are clerks for various justices. They were stunned by this.
Yeah.
To your point, it just doesn't happen. But what was interesting is to watch the federal response, where you had Jen Psaki, when the protests were happening in front of justices' homes, saying, we encourage that. She said, be peaceful, but we encourage it at homes. In the wake of the Kavanaugh assassination, President Biden never directly looked at a camera and condemned it. His staff did on his behalf. He did not. It would have been powerful coming from a president. The funding that was passed on Capitol Hill to provide extra security. Remember, it took several iterations, several attempts to get Nancy Pelosi to move and get these justices protected. So when you combine what Justice Alito said with the reaction of the president and Democrat Congress, it's inexcusable. I would hope if Republicans were in control and this happened to Sotomayor or whomever else, they would act very differently than what we saw out of Washington.
What are your friends inside that are clerking? What do they say about the investigation? Will we ever learn who leaked?
They were stunned. I mean, the investigation, look, they've looked in people's phones. They've done what they can. But I've got to ask Ainsley, the FBI found a way to go after 22 pro-life activists with a very little used statute called the FACE Act. You know, they could find this leaker, in my view, if they wanted to. They're more interested in locking up pro-life activists.
But the Supreme Court has not asked the FBI. They're simply having the marshals at the Supreme Court do the job, and they don't do that.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. The FBI, I at one point was looking through phones, but they should be brought in a more robust fashion. This is a serious incident, especially when you're talking about 9 Supreme Court justices. You lose one, it tips the balance of the court. There is a very perverse incentive for crazy actors out there to take action.
They can mobilize against parents about their kids' education, but they can't mobilize to get someone that tried to usurp a co-equal branch. Kayleigh, you got a new show. Kayleigh's Midterms Countdown. It's weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox Nation.
6 p.m.
You're misspelling countdown, Kayleigh, with a K.
Hey, I spell it with a C, but I guess it's the hip way to do things.
Tell us about the show.
It's very exciting. Look, we have Ron Johnson. We had Carrie Lake yesterday, Blake Masters, a lot of Senate and gubernatorial candidates. And it's just so fun to go back and forth because, you know, Sean's out there. I know I watch all of his town halls, and it's just so fun to joust with the candidates because they're on the ground. You go on the ground all the time, Lawrence, and you get a very different response when you talk to people who are in the battle. You know, these candidates are out there. And so
you're
every night
pressing them on the topics that matter to most Americans out there. It's so great.
Exactly right.
Thank you.
So important.
Thanks.
Our country is, it's all, you know, we've got to help this country. So it's wonderful that you're doing that so the voters can make wise decisions.
Exactly.
Check it out over on Fox Nation. Thank you very much for joining us live.
Appreciate it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.